Great. Let's get started. Going to share my screen with everyone. And here we go. So, some quick introductions. Again, welcome everyone to the University of Cincinnati Admit Students Next Steps webinar. My name is Seth Higginbotham. I work with the University of Cincinnati International Admissions Office. Worked here for 4 years. I did study at UC. My undergraduate degree is in aerospace engineering, and I'm currently studying my master's in political science at UC right now. With me today, I have Mubarak. Mubarak, could you please introduce yourself?
Yeah, sure. Thank you, Seth. Hi guys, I'm Mubarak Turdubekova from Central Asia, Uzbekistan, and I'm currently third year student studying pre-law here. I'm working as an international student ambassador in the international admissions just a year from now, like a year, yeah. So I'm so excited to see you because I can literally understand your situation because I was like kind of in the same situation just 3 years ago. So yeah, I'm so excited to see you here.
Great. Thank you so much, Mubarak. And we do have students on this call from all across the world, so whatever questions you have, happy to help answer them.
Sure.
Now, first, I want to share this video with everyone. I am going to switch the system audio so that you can hear it, and it does mute me. So I'll share this video quickly. It's 1 minute, and then I'll come back and continue the presentation with everyone. All right, share screen with system audio. Let's go. See you in
Well, I
All right, I'm back. Thank you everyone for that quick minute, and let's get into the full presentation. Great. I have to share and then unshare the screen so the audio works, but thanks for your patience. All right. In this presentation, we're going to discuss a quick overview of the University of Cincinnati and its co-op program. And then we're going to get into the most important part of the presentation, which are next steps. Here at UC, we use a lot of portals. Portals are websites that have a lot of tasks you need to complete on them. We'll be discussing the Bearcat Portal and the iBearcats Global Portal. After that, we'll discuss costs and scholarships and then important dates. And then it's time for all of your questions and answers. I've worked here for a couple of years. I've probably seen or answered every question, and I'm happy to stay here as long as you need to answer every question, even if we have 500 questions. So let's get into it. You all applied to UC. You've all been admitted. Congratulations. We're very happy to welcome you to the Bearcat family. Here are some fast facts about the university. We do have 53,000 total students. That's actually up to about 54,000 for fall 25. And we are a university that's growing. So each year we're getting a little bit bigger, and that includes our international student population, more than 6,000. A few fast facts about UC. One of our most famous professors was Neil Armstrong. After he retired from NASA, he came and taught in the aerospace engineering department at UC. We also, at UC, there was also the discovery of Benadryl, which was one of the first anti-allergy medicines, as well as one of our students actually went to our College of Law, graduated, and became US president. Another, a Supreme Court justice. So just a couple of different pathways. UC is a large university, 53,000 students, and it's in an urban setting. So I'm going to leave the PowerPoint a little bit unconventional, but just to show everyone, in case you have not seen this before, where the university is on a map and kind of what it looks like. So here is the city of Cincinnati in the US. It's right here in Ohio. And if we zoom in, this is the city itself. And if we zoom in right close to the downtown area, this is the university. It is this square, and everything here is university. And then everything here is university related to the College of Medicine. Between the two areas is a lot of university-centric activities. So things like housing, recreation centers, bars, coffee shops, restaurants, grocery stores, places to get your haircut, parks, etc. So this whole area is for the university. And then it's very close to our downtown as well. All right, let's get back into this. Mubarak, is there anything that you want to share about your experience at UC with respect to being on campus or things that you've seen here?
Well, yes. Actually, when I came to the first time to the UC, I was a little bit excited and confused because I were late. I missed the orientation week. So well, we have four dining halls, seven coffee shops, five food court style restaurants. We're gonna see a lot of them, and as I already showed us the map, and we're gonna show all the campus. But you don't have to worry. You're gonna have map, and like orientation week, you will understand every detail about UC. The only thing I want to tell about this because I was a little bit confused when I came to here. The halls. Like recreation center or dining halls, like everything. Yeah.
Mm,
Especially
great,
if
thank you
you're
so
like
much. Well,
never visited to the US, it can be a little bit confusing. I understand it. And everyone can help around the campus, so you don't have to worry about that.
definitely. Something that I noticed in this picture is the density of people. So a lot of you, I think 50% of the people that we polled, something like this, said that the city setting or the urban setting was what they most liked. This is something that's pretty unique to UC compared to a lot of universities, is it's a pretty compact campus. So a lot of times when you're walking around, it feels like you see friends, you see a lot of movement, you see a lot of events or different things going on campus. Whereas at a lot of other universities, they're very spread out, and so you don't see a lot of people. And it might have a lot of students, but there's so much space that you don't really get that feeling like you're more in a city vibe. All right. At the university, we have lots of different services available for students. Some of them are listed here. These services are all free, so they're all included as part of the tuition that you're paying. What that means is if you're already paying for it, you should make use of it. Only some of them are listed here. We have a lot more extensive services than what's just listed, but I'll give it a few examples, excuse me. First, for example, is the Counseling and Psychological Services, or CAPS. Obviously, we know that if you're coming from a different country or if you're moving away from home for the first time, that can be a very stressful time period, especially if you're trying to navigate culture shock, a new academic system, more rigorous or more difficult classes. And so we do have psychological services that are specific just for international students, and those are free. So you can meet with a psychologist who's trained to work with international students once a week and have access to that. Another example, university health services, so women's health products, sexual health products, those are available for free as well if you need to go somewhere and you don't have the money for it, or if you're just looking for like additional education or supplies, you can go and find those things. Similarly, if you have an interview coming up and you don't have professional clothing, you can go to the Bearcat closet, not even listed here, and then get a suit or a dress suit and dress pants to be able to have that interview. And these things are free. You just use whatever services they are and then return it if you need to. Something like a bicycle, you can go to the bike kitchen, rent it for free, check it out, use it for a week, and then return it. So there's just a lot of services like that that are kind of baked into the university experience that you might not necessarily know. So when you arrive at UC, always be on the lookout for what can I do or how can the university support me. Something else that's a very big part of our student culture are communities. 54,000 students is a lot. It's a lot of people, 18 to 25 years old, all in one space. And you guys have a lot of interests. So, Mubarak, what are some of your interests, or what are some different clubs that you've seen, or anything that you've joined on campus?
Yes. The most interesting part is about student organizations. Well, personally, I'm the part of my major is pre-law, by the way. Well, I'm the part of the UC Pre-Law International Students Club. The first one is, and the second one, Model of United Nations. And that's really interesting. We are going to discuss a lot of like different topics, like politics, government, like everything. And the third one is our organization, UC Uzbek's organization. So we have a lot of like student organizations from different countries, like Vietnamese student organization, students organization from India, and then well, Chinese as well. Well, like we have a lot. You can just join your organization and like you can be involved like whenever you want. That's really interesting. You know what? When you come here, the most important part is just getting involved. Like you have like
Mm.
people like you, same major, or maybe like you can go to the recreation center together. You are gonna learn a lot from each other. It doesn't matter if they're like third year or fourth year student. It doesn't matter. They don't have to be first like freshman. You will learn a lot from them. So yeah, don't be
Great.
introvert or shy.
Definitely. Thank you so much, Mubarak. And as Mubarak said, there's kind of different types of communities or student organizations. So I'd say there's some that are more professional. So maybe Society of Hispanic Professional Engineers or the Environmental Engineers Tribunal or student government. So more career oriented. And then there are some that are more fraternal. So for example, ethnic organizations or some others that are just for fun. I'll share two ones that I did when I was a student. So Cheese Club, you sit in a circle and eat different types of cheese, talk about the taste of cheese. Absolutely love that one. And then another one that I did was an intramural battleship league. You might not be familiar with what battleship is, but I'm excited to show you. So there's a quick video. I'll just that should be enough. UC battleship. Let's see. Nope, I need university. Okay, here we go. Here's an example of a student organization that exists. So this is one that you are in canoes in the Olympic-sized swimming pool, and you're in a league, and your goal is to sink the other boats. So you row around, and it's very diplomatic because if there's one team that's stronger, usually other teams will work together to try and sink them. So that's just one example of something that you might find as part of your experience at the University of Cincinnati, part of our student life. All right. I love sharing that one. It's my favorite. Let me get back here and keep going. As mentioned, we do have lots of different student organizations for different ethnic groups or communities as well, and they're having events on campus throughout the entire year. So we have Lantern Festival, Spring Festival, Diwali, Holi, Festa Junina, Carnival, all sorts of events throughout the entire year. We had our first Velitas, if there are any Colombian students on this call, this past December. So we're always excited to expand and then get more of our community engaged. Last note on the university. Obviously, you all applied here and are admitted here, so I don't want to go too much longer on this topic, but the city itself. So we are a city that is growing in size, and we are a city that's getting slightly younger year by year. And that's because we have a lot of college graduates who are moving here for job opportunities. It's very much a city that's focused on, I'd say, three things: work opportunities, sports are another very big part of our culture, and then I'd also say it's a more cosmopolitan city. So there's a lot of pockets of different international communities that exist here. So, for example, there's an Uzbek community in Cincinnati, there's a Colombian community, there's Indian communities from all the different regions of India, et cetera, et cetera. And the reason why we're getting younger and have a lot of students coming in is because it's also a very inexpensive city compared to other cities in the United States. Mubarak, you are not a Cincinnati native. You chose to come here and you have been living in Cincinnati for a couple of years now. What's your experience in the city been like?
Well, I used to have friends here before I come here to study. The first thing they mentioned is international atmosphere. You know, as a student who wants to study like abroad, you try to find people, someone like you, someone that thinks like you, and the mindset, and then you wanna like explore everything from different side of the world. You can find a little bit of from everything in Cincinnati. If you're interested, like Chinese what culture or Vietnamese culture or even German culture, you can find everything. We have even festivals, we have even holidays about that. And the city and people are really open for international experience. The most interesting thing is for me was that, like for choosing the UC, like Cincinnati. Yeah.
Great. Thank you so much, Mubarak. Appreciate that. Finally, choosing to study at the University of Cincinnati will lead to three things. We promise you'll graduate with a degree, a resume that makes you competitive in your job field, and then an idea what you're going to be doing in the future. We call that the Bearcat Promise, and that is what we're offering students. Mostly, this is through the co-op program, but we do have many other experiential learning opportunities for students as well. If you're not aware of co-op and you're applying to UC, I don't know how you didn't hear of co-op before, but just in case, very quickly, co-ops are alternating internships. So one semester studying, one semester working, studying, working, studying, working, something like this. And when you are working, it is in your desired career field. It is related to what your major is, and you're being paid by the company. Our students earn an average of $11,200 each co-op semester, which is enough money, a lot of times, to pay for the next semester of school. So if finances are a concern, the co-op program is a very, very important way to be able to finance your education. We are ranked number one for public universities, number 3 or 4 for all universities in the US for co-ops. And that very high ranking. It's for two reasons. One, we get our students jobs. So we have a very high job placement rate. And two, the student earnings. So our students get paid at a very high rate as well. This is really, as a university, what our main focus is. So if you're interested in that possibility to earn money as you're going through college, gain work experience, graduate with connections to the industry, and build out your resume as a undergraduate university student, UC is a very good choice for you. Okay, enough of that. You probably know quite a bit about co-ops already, but for some programs, we don't have co-ops available, or it's just not part of the curriculum. And for those, there are lots of other options. So for example, if you're in the musical theater program or acting, that lends itself more towards artistic performance. Or if you're interested in research, there's plenty of research opportunities as well. We are a Research One institution, meaning all of our faculty conduct research, and you have the opportunity to potentially work with all of them as well. Just to close out the conversation on co-ops, here are some companies that our students work for. I said I studied aerospace engineering before. Some of my classmates ended up doing co-ops with NASA and now work at NASA. Others worked with smaller companies or multinationals, startups, so a bit of a mix of everything. For myself, I ended up going abroad and working for a company in Buenos Aires, Argentina. So that goes to show if you're looking to perhaps go to Germany or Japan, we have connections there and we have opportunities for you to go work with companies there as well. On the right-hand side of the screen is what those schedules look like. If you haven't seen this before, this is very important. Most of our students will alternate school and co-op at some point during their academic career, but it's only obligatory for students in engineering, business, some design and architecture programs, and that's optional for many students in the arts and sciences. All right, and then if you have questions about co-op, drop them in the chat or ask at the very end, and we'll cover that then. Now, let's get into the main part of this presentation, next steps. So you're all admitted. Congratulations. Again, what is next for you? We have two main portals, which is where there's different tasks and activities that you need to complete in order to move on with becoming a University of Cincinnati Bearcat. First is the Bearcat Portal. You can access this website at bearcatportal.uc.edu. You'll also get an email, or probably already received an email, leading you to this page. In the Bearcat Portal, this is where you'll have most of your next steps for what you need to become a UC student. You'll log in with your 6+2, that is your username, and that you'll use throughout your entire time at the University of Cincinnati. And then you'll have an initial password, which is UC, ! And then month, day, year, where that's your date of birth. You should change that password immediately because eventually you'll be locked out and then you'll have to email us, and we have a million emails and we do our best to answer them, but it might take a little bit of time to answer that particular email. And then once you do that, we'll reset the password and that's fine. Okay, you get into the portal. What is it? Something else. You need to data security and data breaches and identity theft are extremely important. So this is to protect you. We use the Duo two-factor authentication. Essentially, it just ties your login to your mobile device, your phone. So it will send you you download this Duo Mobile, you connect it to UC. It's very, very easy. You log in with that username and password, and then it sends a push to your phone, a notification when you're logging in to make sure that it's you that's logging in. It's not someone else trying to steal personal information, financial, health, whatever. Okay, that done. You enter the Bearcat Portal. The first step, the most important one, is to confirm. I will click confirm. I confirm that I want to attend the University of Cincinnati. For everyone in this call, when you click confirm, you will have the confirmation fee waiver. So you do not have to pay, I believe it's $120, $125, I might be mistaken, fee in order to confirm. You can do it for free. Congratulations. That's awesome. So you don't lose anything. Go ahead and confirm, and you can see everything that comes afterwards. You can confirm to multiple universities. I don't recommend it, of course. Only confirm to UC, but we don't know if you confirm somewhere else or if you only confirm to UC, so that's up to you. But you click confirm, you move on. What are the tasks ahead of you? You get an email to set up your a University of Cincinnati email, and this is pretty quick, pretty easy. You should be checking this at least every single day, if not, maybe every other day. Email is the way that a lot of technical, bureaucratic tasks function in the United States. You already know this. You've been getting emails from us for a long time already, but this is not going to end. This is how your professors will talk to you. They'll send you emails. This is how you'll get notifications about different events that are on campus going on, or maybe if you have bills or things that you need to pay. Email is just the way that a lot of this, the professional world functions. And going to university, you are now a professional student. So check your email. You'll also get emails from the housing office, international services, orientation. Oh, that's not good. Apologies, everyone. Mubarak, would you mind talking about your email briefly and anything that you've seen? My battery is low. I'll be right back.
Yeah, sure. After setting up your email, you're gonna get every notification, like every detail about your like student life. After coming here to the campus, you're gonna get emails and notifications about your grades, classes, like everything. So please, be careful and just get more, take more attention to the emails that you use email, because after some time you usually don't send emails to your like normal like personal email, right? If I'm not mistaken, because I only get emails for
Exactly.
use email. So Don't miss these emails. Sometimes
You got
they're
it.
gonna send you
Thank you
like
so much, Mubarak.
deadlines or something.
Yeah. Thank you so much. Appreciate that, Mubarak. All right. So you enter the portal. Again, here are a list of a lot of tasks that you need to complete. These include such things as authorization to use financial aid. I know on this call we have a lot of students that are based in the US. You might be in different steps of your immigration process. Maybe you're probably on a very wide variety of visas, but there are some of you that potentially could receive financial aid. So this is for you. That means money from the government. Additionally, if you're receiving a scholarship, this is authorization to apply that scholarship to your account. So that's something that we'll discuss a little bit further on, but that's an important task. Housing. Housing is also located here. The housing portal isn't open yet. It will open in January, so just in a couple of weeks. Housing is on a first comes, first serves basis. So essentially, once you apply, uh, for housing, you'll be able to see different options. You'll go through the application, and then those who complete it first are the ones who are going to be assigned first. So if you wait a long time, you might not get your preferred choice for housing. So that's in this portal. What else is in here? There's a math placement test. This is a very quick test. It does not have an impact on your actual um, curriculum, so the classwork that you're taking. What it is just to make sure that if you have a deficiency in a particular area, it's something that we can address as a university as you're going through the classes. Also, you can get additional support in that particular area. So that's a requirement. A few other things, a pre-enrollment questionnaire and self-assessment. So these are, again, questionnaires kind of like in the beginning that I did the poll. They're things that are just generally information the university should know. So things like, do you have allergies? If so, what are you allergic to? Questions like this. Next, pre-orientation. So this is registering for the orientation, which is coming up. We do have two different options for orientation. There's a virtual orientation and a in-person orientation. For those who are based in the United States, in-person orientation, if you happen to be close, is probably better. You get to see more of the campus. But if you're virtual, that's also totally fine. This orientation will go through topics such as where are all the buildings located? Where's the library? Where's the gym? Where is the clinic? If I'm sick, where should I go? How do I find um, how do I book a classroom if I want to have my own private space to study, or if I want to meet with my student organization? Where are the student organizations? How do I get involved with them? All of these questions that are just basic information that if you show up on day one, you won't know. So it's all things to help you. That's the point of the orientation. All right, and submitting a picture for student ID. So you'll put a picture in. It has to be very specific, just like a government photo, basically. And then when you arrive on campus, those IDs will be printed. You'll be able to pick it up, and that will allow you to enter your housing assignment or to enter your the buildings where your classrooms are located, et cetera, et cetera. Food courts, the gymnasium, whatever. So that is everything that's in the Bearcat portal. There are more. There's probably like 10 tasks, but we covered most of the important ones. If you have any questions, let me know. But this is where most of the things will be that you have to do before enrolling at the university or coming to the university. One other one you might be wondering is, when do I schedule classes? That is also part of the orientation process. So that's there where it says international pre-orientation. That includes registering for classes, being with your academic advisor, etc. Okay, the next portal we're going to talk about is the iBearcats global portal. Now, up until this point, up until this exact moment, you have been working with me or with Sanjay in India or with Tan in Vietnam or with some of our staff in the international admissions office. And we work with students all the way up until the point where they come to campus and they are at the University of Cincinnati and they begin their classes here. At that point, we no longer work with you. We work with you for the just until you get to campus. Once you get to campus, you work more with the International Services Office. So shown on the screen here, International Services, that is a different team of people, and they work with current students who are at the university. What does International Services do? Well, they host different events for international students, so that's pretty cool. They help you with programming and that sort of thing. But their main function is to make sure that you are in the country legally. You do not have problems with the government. You do not have problems with companies. You do not have problems with any sort of legal services or entities here in the United States. That includes immigration. That includes work visas. So if you need to work with a company, making sure that's being done. That includes paying taxes. So all of those steps, they are your support in the US. This is their portal. This is how they introduce, this is where everything that they support you with is located. It's called the iBearcats Global Portal. You'll get an email to create an account through this portal. When you click on the email and you go to the page, you will see this screenshot here on the left where it says, "Welcome to the iBearcats Global Services login page." At the very bottom, it says new students and scholars who have not yet started their program with UC in the US. And then highlighted here, it says new student scholar login. You have to click this button because you are a new student. You have to click this. You have to make your account. That is the one you must do. And then you can use that afterwards. So you click on that button, it asks you to put in your university ID, fine, your date of birth, a PIN. You'll get the PIN by email. Awesome. So you log into the account. Here are a lot of different tasks that you can complete or services that can kind of help you. But there's one that is really, really, really important. And that is the entire purpose of this webinar, basically, is to make sure that you do this and do it correctly. This is for immigration. This is to get your I-20 document. You need the I-20 document from the University of Cincinnati in order to schedule an interview with the US Embassy in order to get your visa. Apologies to everyone that's based in the US. If you're in the US, you might be on different immigration statuses or different visas. That's totally fine. This is for students who want an F1 student visa. So I apologize. If you are in the US, you'll want to follow up with our in the United States representative, Lynn Hickadood. I'll talk a little bit more about her in a minute, but this portal is just for everyone that's outside the US. So thank you. Okay, you're in this portal. You will want to go to the pre-arrival e-form, and then in that, you have a new international student checklist. It's very straightforward. You just click where it says, basically, this is what I need to do. And you're going to want to complete the immigration documents page. Here, it will ask you to upload information such as your family finances, any scholarships that you received, your admissions to the university. If you've traveled to the US before, if you've had a previous visa, documents like this. And then once they upload those documents, they'll review you to see if you can receive an I-20, and then they will issue the I-20. They'll give you the I-20 through this portal as well. If you have any questions, you can contact them. They're very friendly people. They respond very quickly. So they'll be able to help you get that I-20 so then you can get your interview scheduled with the American consulate or embassy. Here are some more examples of what information they'll ask you to provide. So for example, if you've studied in the US before, you have something called a CVIS record. They'll ask if you need to move that CVIS record from your previous school to the University of Cincinnati. They'll ask if you've had past visas, where you've been born, et cetera, et cetera. So a lot of questions, including finances. I think I said most of this already. Do you have children? Is someone paying for you? Make sure they provide financial documents, etc. And then finally, you get your I-20. You go to the consulate or embassy. You have your interview. They approve you, and you get your F1 visa. You fly to the United States. In the airport, we do have a shuttle which brings students from the airport to the university directly. And then once you arrive at the university, you'll get a SIM card from our International Services Office. You'll get your Bearcat card, your ID, and that allows you to check in to your dorm or your housing or wherever you're staying. So then you can leave your bags and luggage there. Finally, please tell International Services that you arrived, so they don't worry about you and send emails to everyone thinking that you got lost in an airport somewhere. All right, that's everything for the iBearcats global portal. If you have questions about this, please put them in the chat and we'll address them at the end. Required immunizations. This is something that's also a requirement. You have plenty of time, so it's good that we're discussing this now. There are some basic health requirements that are mandatory at universities across the world. It's not specific to UC or even American universities. These include screenings for tuberculosis and one or two other immunizations. I think it's like mumps, measles, and rubella, ones that are more common. Anyways, you need to provide proof that you have these immunizations so that we keep a healthy community and we don't have any issues with that at our university campus. This is something that is also in that portal, so you'll just read through what those requirements are. You must conduct the health screening. If you do not, then you'll be in violation of the Student Code of Conduct, and you could receive penalties for that, which could affect either finances or academics or something like this. So this is very important. If you have any questions, you can always ask us, and we'll do our best to support you with this health screening questions. Okay, almost to the end. We still have costs and scholarships. I've been saving it for you, so thanks for your patience. If you have questions, here are some important numbers. You might want to take a quick screenshot of this page. International admissions is for if you have any questions about what the university is like, if you have questions about cost or scholarships or coming to the university, taking classes, something like this. Services is for everything related to immigration and visas or a legal status. Orientation is for registering for classes and becoming acquainted with the university, learning about where different services are located on campus. Housing is housing. And enrollment services, it's more for if you're based in the United States and you have questions that are a little bit more complicated, perhaps to do with financial aid from the government or something like this, they can also help you with those questions. Most of our international students don't use enrollment services. They use international admissions or international services. Enrollment services is more for domestic students, but there may be a few cases where you might need them. Anyways, dun dun dun, costs and scholarships. All right, so on the screen here, you see three columns: main campus, UC Blue Ash, and UC Claremont. These are our three different locations. You might be admitted to, you should have received an email that says you're admitted to main campus or UC Blue Ash or UC Claremont. The main difference between them is one, cost, and then also UC Blue Ash and UC Claremont are only 2-year campuses. So you could study there for 2 years and then on our main campus for 2 years. Not every program's located at Blue Ash and Claremont. They have a lot smaller student body and a lot more limited majors offered in each program. But if you've been admitted to them, this would be your cost structure. Main campus is the one that we saw the video of. We looked at the map when Mubarak spoke about it for a while as well. The cost is $30,000 per year tuition. It is better to think of this number per academic semester. So for every 4 months that you are studying. Every 4 months you're studying, it is $15,000, the cost. Any scholarships that you receive will apply against this as a percentage discount. So if you received let's say a $10,000 per year scholarship, that would reduce the tuition and fees to $20,000 per year or $10,000 per academic semester. So it's like a third off, something like this. These numbers are all for out-of-state or international students. If you are in the United States and you are in the tri-state area, like say you're an international student from Ghana who's going to high school in Cincinnati, you may be eligible for in-state tuition. And in-state, it's about half of this, but it depends. And scholarships are also different. I recommend that you speak with Lynn Hickadood. She is the staff member who works with domestic students within the US. All right, scholarships, since I mentioned them. Where are those? What are those? And what is the plan for that? Okay, for international students outside of the US, we have already, if you are admitted, we have already released our preliminary awards. So if you've received an email that says anything related to a scholarship, congratulations, that is what you have been reviewed for and selected to receive. For students who have not received that and they're international outside of the United States, unfortunately, you were not selected to receive a scholarship. There are different types of scholarships, and I'm happy to address that right now. So we have our centralized scholarships. Those are the ones that have already been released. Those come from Central University of Cincinnati funds. The colleges themselves may have separate funds. So, for example, the College of Business or the College of Arts and Sciences, they may have a very small amount of money that they're choosing to provide to students who they consider to be leaders, or they're going to enter the university and become exceptional students and lead the university forward. My best advice to you in trying to obtain more scholarship is to speak with your territory manager. That is the person that represents you for your particular region of the world. I'm going to skip ahead really quickly just to show them. So Hannah Gurman, if you're a student that is in Southeast Asia or East Asia, not Vietnam, or the Middle East, North Africa regions, she is your representatives. I work with students in Latin America and the Caribbean, so the Western Hemisphere. Lynn Hickadood works with students within the United States. If you have any questions about finances and you're in the US, she is your representative. Zion Simpson works with students in Europe and Sub-Saharan Africa. And our global staff, Tan works with students in Vietnam, Grace works with students in China, and Sanjay and Gitanjali work with students based in South Asia. All right, let me go back to this then. So these people are your support. They are your advocates. They are the ones who will put up the fight and make the effort to make sure that you get a better scholarship award. So it's important that you're able to build a relationship with them so that they advocate for you. All right. Finally, there is the honors program. Some students may be offered the opportunity to enter the honors program or to interview for it. And a very, very, very few number of those students may be able to earn scholarships as well. That is not something that requires an additional application. There are no further actions that you need to take for any of these scholarship processes. I would just recommend speaking with your territory manager. If you need more money or if you're interested in more scholarships, they are the ones who will best support you throughout that process. One other note that I'd like to show everyone, so long as we're on this page, is, oh, I'm running out of time. I'm sorry, everyone. Oh, my mind blanked. Scholarships. Okay. So I'm a student. I'm a current UC student. And as you log in, this is what the, put in the wrong one. Okay, this is what it will look like when you log into this portal. This is a different portal. It's called Catalyst. It has my academics, my finances, and scholarship search. So as a current student, I can go to this scholarship search page. Once you confirm, you'll also have access to this. So if you confirm, you should be able to see this portal as well. And here it will take you to our database where we have lots of different scholarships available. In the database are 7,200 scholarships. You have to put in a lot of information about yourself, your personal information to see if you match for them. And then you can apply for them. Most of them are for US citizens or permanent residents or those who are on different statuses like asylee, et cetera, et cetera. but there are some that are available for foreign nationals as well. Here are some examples. Let's look through a couple. They are very peculiar. So here, for example, is one for those who are interested in developing a patent. It's through the College of Business Center for Entrepreneurship. If we look at this Santoro Family Fund for Entrepreneurship, they're looking to give $5,000 to teams who are looking to start their own student venture, so that's starting their own small company. That's one example. Another example might be, well, when it loads. Let's see. If you are a single parent, you might have the opportunity to apply for this $1,000 scholarship. Or, I don't know, let's see this one. If you're interested in doing research in the drinking water field. So again, it's a very large database, but you'll have to do your own work, your own research homework to figure out which ones work for you and which ones don't. We just collect the scholarships there. Okay. Let me go back here. So that is everything tuition and fees and scholarships. If you have questions, please put them in the chat. You also need to remember the co-op income that you'll be earning as a student as well if you're part of a co-op program. That can pay for a lot of your academic career. Maybe your last year 3 and year 4. Typically, a lot of students will do 2 co-ops each year, and so they end up being able to pay for school themselves. All right, so that's tuition and fees. Living expenses, we list as $18,000 to live in the city of Cincinnati. That is a number that comes from the Ohio state government as far as what the general cost of living is in Cincinnati. If you were to go to our website and look, you see housing cohort. Let me pick a different year. Here we go, 2025. Here we go, 2025, 2026. So these are the housing costs. The absolute cheapest, least expensive that you could get is a traditional room in one of these dorms, and the cost to live with multiple people with an unlimited all-you-can-eat meal plan would be $14,100 for that year. The most expensive, which would be a private kitchen, private apartment, unlimited meal plan, private bathroom, would be $18,000 per year, living by yourself. So that is the range from $14,000 to $18,000, and that is for housing and food. You would also want to consider things like transportation, entertainment, travel, anything else, but the main expenses of housing and food, that is what we anticipate the cost of being. If you are living outside of the Cincinnati area, it is a requirement to live on campus during your first year. After that first year, you're allowed to live off campus wherever you like, or to live with friends or anything else. If you're on co-op, obviously you might be in a different city or a different state. Well, Barak, I'm a little bit tired. Can you talk about your living experience on campus or off campus or anything?
Well, yeah, sure. Um, as a freshman student, you have to live on campus. The main reason is just for you to get involved on campus, just explore everything. But from the second year, you can live off campus. There are a lot of off-campus housing options around the UT because the city is based on student lives that are so you can find a lot of off-campus housing option, but it's different than on campus. So you gotta search on the Google. You can just say uptown rental properties or something. Like if you want to live off campus, but from the second year, first year you gotta live on campus. So
Yeah, you got it. Thank you so much, Mubarak.
mhm.
And we do have a lot of different portals and support for helping to find housing as well. And there is a lot of movement as students come in and out each semester for co-ops. Finally, we do require you to have University of Cincinnati health insurance. Unless you're in the US and have a US-based health insurance, you might not need this. And the cost for that is $2,400 per year. All right, I think we made it. important dates. So decision day already passed. You were all notified of your admissions decisions and scholarships, so long as you're outside the United States. Housing applications open. Um, Confirmation deadline is May 1, and the housing deadline is May 1. For everyone that confirms, you must enroll in classes by August 1 in order to keep your housing agreement. Oh, I'm reading across instead of up and down. Sorry, guys. Housing and orientation are open officially on February 2nd. You have to complete pre-orientation to keep your housing, and you have to enroll in classes to keep your housing, and then you must enroll in classes by August, or you must arrive for classes by August 24th. We recommend arriving about 10 days before classes start, so maybe like August 14th, something like this, and you'll be able to move in. And then that first week before classes is called Welcome Week, and there are a lot of activities. There's so many activities. It's a lot of fun. The university is alive. It's really a great experience. So if you can, try to aim for arriving like August 14th, 15th, something like this. Here's our team again. Introduced everyone a little bit earlier. Hannah, myself, Lynn, Zion, Tan, Grace, Sanjay, and Gitanjali. And we're very happy to help you with anything that you might need. We are on all of the social medias. Follow us and reach out to us, and we'll do our best to support you. Okay, question time, right? Let's see.
Yeah. I know it
Not that
might
one.
sound a little bit stressful, guys, because I got the same situation. But please, 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 please don't get stressed. You just have to follow all instructions just step by step. It's gonna be like easier than you think. So don't get stressed.
Thanks, Mubarak. Love your positivity. Let's
No,
start.
it's
Let's
real.
start with the one. It's true. It's true. You went through it. I didn't go through it. So let's start with the one spoken question, Tavos, and then I'm going to do all the written questions and then spoken questions again. Is that all right?
Yeah.
Yes. Well, hello, and
Hello.
thank you for such a great session. Actually, my case is so much different than what you just introduced through your session and some of the other questions internationally. So I'm coming from Afghanistan, and there are some of the travel ban that we had since some years in the past. So I'm just concerned about this. So if that is happening or not, because that makes me just to focus on this university and just confirm this. At the same time, the next point is just, uh, is it possible now that we can just change our campuses from Blush to main campus? At the same time, I realized, it was just by kind of mystic thing that I just chose that one, by the way. I'm just so much concerned about the point that, about the scholarship, as international, student, I know how things are working, but still, I received a merit scholarship, which I'm asking you if there is any need-based scholarship or such a thing, or still I have to just search, go through the scholarship search page and find it there. Thank you.
Great. So I heard three questions there. First one was political and about visas and what might happen with that. Second one is about changing campuses. And the third one is about scholarships, need-based scholarships, and any need-based aid that might exist. Thank you for your questions and for the bravery to unmute and ask questions. So for the first one, visas, U.S. government immigration policy, that can be somewhat unpredictable, as I think we all know at this time. I will say that the University of Cincinnati has very, very strong international services. We have been working with international students for many decades, and that team is, they have a lot of connections within the professional sphere in Washington and otherwise. So they will make sure that no matter what happens, their students are abiding by every single legal step that they need to not have issues with the government. That being said, what the government policy actually is something that's outside of our control. If there are escalations as far as allowing for more countries to have more immigrants or other countries to have fewer immigrants or changes in that, as a university, as an institution, we don't control what decisions the government actually makes, unfortunately. We would love to have all of you here, and we would love to approve all visas. Unfortunately, that's not how the world works. That's not how the country works. That's not how Canada or Australia or any of these other countries that have large populations of immigrants work, sadly. But we'll do our best to advocate for you, not only through the immigration process, but then also internally with our own university and in our own country. We do our best to advocate and support you in policy development. It's a long battle for sure. Second question, is it possible to change campuses? Possibly. So some students that applied to main campus were referred to the regional campus, Blue Ash or Claremont, because they were not admitted to the main campus. However, there are some students who applied directly to Blue Ash or Claremont, and they might be eligible to be re-reviewed for main campus. Also, if you provide additional information like a new GPA or new test scores or something like this, we might be able to re-review you to be able to enter main campus instead. Third, with need-based aid, unfortunately, again, we do not offer need-based aid. We only offer merit-based aid, and that is something where we do our best to advocate for students, but the number of students that require need-based aid is so large that if we were to admit and support and provide need-based aid to all of the students that require it, we wouldn't be able to function as a university generally. So I'm very sorry, but we do not offer need-based aid, and we'll do our best to work with you throughout that merit-based aid process, but other than that, we do not. One exception might be for students that are within the United States and have their financial situation is always a little bit different depending on what your immigration status is. You may be eligible for some different programs or not. Again, I recommend connecting with Lynn Hickarud. She will be your best advocate and support in getting the maximum out of your status and your eligibility for different financial options. I did say I'm going to go through the chat because there's 70 messages, but then I'll come back and ask, or maybe halfway through, I'll ask other people with their hands raised. So let's try and work through some of these chat questions. Okay, we have to go to the very bottom. Oh, I like the good morning messages. That's nice. And good evening. Oh, this is nice. This isn't so bad. All right. First one. Could you please share what scholarship opportunities or work earning options are available for international students? You see as one of my top choices. Affordability is a major factor, so I'm trying to understand how I can best plan financially. This is a good question. Something I did not mention yet is working on campus. So co-ops, you can work off campus full-time, work for the company, get paid a very competitive salary, like probably more than I'm earning right now. Cough, cough. But depending on what you're studying, right? But you also have the opportunity to work on campus. So you can work up to 20 hours per week. Mubarak, you are currently working on campus. Can you talk a little bit about what that process is like for international students, what options exist, what jobs there are, something like that?
Yeah, sure. As an international student, you can apply like a lot of different jobs on campus. You can work at recreation center, library, different colleges like admissions. For example, one of my friends got admitted as a student worker at nursing college. And I work here in international admissions as student ambassador. Like you can apply and you can work up to 20 hours per week. And yeah, you can earn like for your I don't know like yeah, we have a lot of like options if you want to work. You just have to apply and get interview, and yeah, you can work here on campus. It's legally and it's really good option, I think.
Yeah. You probably won't be able to pay for your whole university education like this, but you can maybe earn like $500 a month, $600 a month. It can help with finances for sure. Besides those jobs mentioned, there are others that are more, so there's education-based jobs like tutoring or research. something like this. And then there's more administrative jobs like the one that Mubarak is doing right now. And then there are jobs that are more labor-based. So things like working in the parking services in a parking lot or working in a cafeteria or the gymnasium. So there's a wide variety. Most of our on-campus jobs have international students who are working in them. So I think there's a couple thousand jobs. So there's maybe like 4 or 5, 6,000 jobs. There's a lot. So there's a lot of opportunities to get one and work on campus. Okay, apologies. I said 18 to 25 years old, but someone's 16. You're correct. Apologies. We do have some younger students on campus. 16. Gosh, I think we admitted one student that was like 14 or 15, just a brilliant student. But anyways, if that's you, congratulations. I was not. I entered at 18, but that was my point of reference. Another question, I was awarded a $15,000 scholarship. How can I increase my scholarship as a international student? I'm currently applying. My advice, again, would be to connect with your territory manager. So when I showed all of those faces on the screen, the one that I said was for your particular region, and I can say those again if you want, but that is your advocate to help you get more scholarship. Beyond that, you do not have any actions you need to take. It will all be internal to the university. Okay. Can we get this PDF afterwards? So this will be we'll upload this this webinar to YouTube so you can click through and see all of the different sections. And then the website links will also be there. When can we start working and be a part of the co-op program? So that is, I don't need to share my screen. I was going to share my screen. The only requirements to begin co-ops are to complete 2 academic semesters. So usually that's from August until May, and to complete the introduction to co-op class. So if you take that class during your first 2 semesters, the soonest you could start co-ops is in May of 2027. Is that right? I'm doing the math. Yeah, May 2027. And then once you get there, you can begin working with the companies. You have to get the job. This is something that's a very important point. We don't just say, congratulations, you now work at Tesla. Here you go. I wish. Unfortunately, that's not how it is. You still are competing with students in other cities, other universities, etc. You have to win the job over them. However, what we will do and why we have such a good program is because we will provide a lot of support in getting those jobs. So what that means is we will have regular career fairs where we'll bring in lots of different employers to the university, and you'll be able to meet with them in person, shake their hand, talk to them, make a joke, and then have the opportunity to perhaps present your resume and have an interview with them later on. Beyond that, we also work with Interstride and Handshake and a couple of other jobs platforms. We do have dedicated staff that only work with international students who are looking for co-ops. Their only job is to make sure you get co-ops. That's pretty unique. Not a lot of universities have that specifically. So we do our best to support you in just getting the job in general. Oh God, there are more messages coming in than I have time to answer them. I'm going too slow.
If you want, I'm gonna read it for you and then you can just answer.
Yes, some of them are private messages though. So it's like half and half. Yeah, I'm up to Anushka Shah at 9:30. Yeah.
Is co-op guaranteed for all students in computer engineering or is it competitive?
So this is an important distinction. It is obligatory. You have to do it to graduate. It's not guaranteed. You do have to interview for the job. So there is the possibility you don't get this co-op. However, you are under a lot of pressure and you are choosing this university knowing if I don't work at these companies, I don't graduate, I don't move on with life. So you enter day one, like, I need to get a job. I'm going to get a job. This is why I picked this school. I'm going to do what it takes to work here and to prepare myself to get this co-op and to, be able to pay for my school. And that is your focus. We will support you all along the way. I was trying to do a co-op abroad, and I had a lot of support, so I was able to meet with a couple of different companies that were presented to me. Had the opportunity to interview with some in Japan and Germany, etc. It's similar for international students, so you will get the support to be able to meet these companies. Are you going to get a job at the very, very best company? Maybe if you're the best student in your class, yes. If you're like an average student, maybe an average company. If you are the worst student and you do not show up to class and you do not have a resume and you don't like participate, you need to put in some effort at least. So that's kind of how it is. But we earned our co-op and internship ranking. It's what we pride ourselves on as a university.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, next question.
Yeah, thank you so much. Next question, is there guaranteed housing for freshmen?
Yes. So on-campus housing is guaranteed for first year, and you must live there first year as well. We are, as I mentioned before, we're growing a lot. So the university is expanding. There's a very big construction project off campus. They're building like a new 20-story residence hall. I think it will be done in 2027, not 2026. But basically, the answer is yes. There are ebbs and flows. So there are some years where it's a little bit tighter housing, and there's some years where there's a lot more open beds and open spaces, but it is guaranteed for first years.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Thank you. The next question is, if I confirm my acceptance to UC, but later I decide to study at another university, do I need to formally withdraw, or can I keep my admitted student status in case I decide to attend UC in a future year?
Good question. Oh, that's so sad.
Yeah.
So we would be appreciative if you withdraw, because we are trying to figure out, for example, how many beds that we have available for students, so that we allocate those correctly. And if you withdraw, it allows us to know, okay, the student's not going to show up. We can allocate these, or we can schedule more classes in this area for these students who are going to show up. So that helps us just to plan better. Generally,
Yeah.
that's a respectful thing to do. But if you don't do that, also fine, not the end of the world. The one issue with your question is if you can attend a different year, you can defer your admissions, but only up to 1 year. After one full year, you have to apply again.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
I have a direct question also
Yeah,
here,
sure.
which is, do SAT scores replace math placement testing? Very good question. It's a really quick test. It's like 10 or 15 minutes, and they're kind of basic questions, and it's for your own it's for you. So unfortunately, no, they do not replace math placement testing, but it's you don't need to stress about it. It's not going to affect you negatively in any way. Just do the best you can, and that's it. It's like, oh, well, I knew that one, or I didn't. So
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Well, we have another question. I'm admitted to computer science major and I feel excited to join the. Could you please let me know whether confirmation decision will be binding to join the university? Just curious to know. Thank you.
yeah, not binding. No, so you can confirm to like 10 different universities, and none of the universities will know. But please don't.
Yeah, please. Okay. I've
Next
received,
question.
yeah, I've received an unconditional offer. Does it mean that I'm directly admitted, or do my final scores of my final papers matter as well?
Good question. So a lot of students are still in school, or they still have another semester remaining, or a full another like 8 months remaining. There's a lot of different curriculums and academic systems around the world. So you are admitted as you are right now. Like, we admitted you, congratulations, you are in.
Mm-hmm.
Your final grades will eventually be required. We need to know that you graduated from school, but we will not rescind any of our offers that we already made. So once you get an offer and once you get a scholarship offer, we won't take that away unless you like commit fraud or some sort of crime or something like that. So no, However, I will say there is the potential when you send in those final transcripts for us to re-review you for a higher scholarship award. Can't guarantee anything, of course, but if you had like grades like this and then you went, and you're at the very end, maybe potentially you can get an additional award or a slightly increased scholarship, something like this. So that's something to talk to your territory manager about, send them your grades, and hopefully it's something that can help you.
Thank you so much. The next question is, I cannot access by Bearcat portal. Please could you help?
Yes, send an email. I'm gonna write down your name. I'll just message you afterwards. Written brief. Yeah, we get a lot of those. Sometimes they get locked out. Bearcat Portal. Okay, I'll send you an email separately. Next.
Mhm. I can only see a few of these tasks on my portal. Sorry. When will I see others shown in this presentation?
Good question. So some of those are still being added, probably in the next month, I think.
Mhm. Yeah. Next one. For US citizen living studying abroad, does cost of attendance cover medical insurance?
Ooh, very good question. The answer is, well, I think I showed that on a later slide, as a separate cost. So there's three main costs, and maybe the question was before I showed this slide,
Yeah.
but tuition and then housing and cost of living, and then medical insurance is a separate one. The medical insurance, you do need University of Cincinnati medical insurance unless you have medical insurance through a US company.
Mhm. Got it. Next one. It's interesting. I know soccer isn't famous in US, but in the rest of the world it's the most popular sport. Does the UC have any soccer activities? What type of sport activities does the UC have?
It's hilarious.
Yeah.
This has to be one of my students, right? Mateus. Yeah, this is one of mine.
Yeah.
Um, so there are three levels of sports at the University of Cincinnati. There's Division One, which is the highest level. It's very competitive, scholarship. Many of our programs are Division One. Soccer is not a Division One program, unfortunately. The second level is club. Club is competitive. You have to try out to make the team, and then they compete against other universities' club teams. So UC has club soccer. We compete against Ohio State, Indiana, Purdue, Northwestern, schools like this. And then below club is intramural. Intramural is within the University of Cincinnati. So with 50,000 students between 16, I had the one person say 16, between 16 and 25, you can imagine how many of them play soccer and how many intramural soccer teams there are. Some of these are very competitive and very good. Some of them, but there's a lot of games being played. And also just walk around campus, you can see people playing every day.
Mhm.
Um, I will say that for fun, I joined the Brasa, the Brazilian student organization. I joined their soccer team and played with them. So that was fun. Enjoyed that.
Yeah. Well, the next question. Will I be applicable for scholarship only after confirming admission?
Good question. So no, you're eligible for scholarships just by being admitted, but you are reviewed. Let's see. So for those students who are outside the United States, you should already have been notified if you received a scholarship. If you've not, contact your territory manager and they'll support you. If you're inside the United States, we have not released that information yet. So just keep waiting and you'll receive notification in the near future. But
Mhm.
you do not need to confirm.
Mhm. Got it. Thank you. Next question. Is there any hold period for scholarship once letter from UC received?
Hold period. I'm not sure. What do you think that is?
I don't think so. If they don't defer, like for the next semester or something, there's no hold, I think.
Once you get the letter, you have it. Like you
Yeah.
have the scholarship. You don't lose it for any reason. Um, so long as you don't wait like more than a year. If you wait
Mhm.
more than a year and you try and attend in like I don't know 2028, you don't have the scholarship. You have to apply again. That's it.
Yeah. If you want to defer for like spring semester, it's gonna change, but like there's no hold for if you're gonna go come like for full semester. So don't have to worry. I'll be 17 years on September 2026. Will I be eligible to work under the co-op program?
Good question. I know there are a lot of, okay, so you enter university as a 17-year-old in September 2026. You then complete 2 academic semesters because that's the minimum. You might be 18 by the end of that,
Yeah.
um, but maybe you're not. I don't think there is an age requirement between 17 and 8 that you have to be 18 years old because I know some students have worked, but I'm not 100% positive. That's one I need to look into further. If it's possible to work at 17, but you should probably be 18 by the time you're even eligible to start doing the co-ops, like by the end of that first year, anyways.
Got it. Next question. I received the International Outreach Scholarship of $15,000, but my parents still can't afford the rest. Is there any additional scholarship can I apply for? I think you answered the question like
Yeah,
during the presentation, yeah?
yeah, I think I answered that
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
maybe a little bit later on. If you still have questions, I'm happy to. I don't have much more to add. I'd recommend just watch the YouTube video again
Yeah.
about that
Mm-hmm.
because we'll upload it here in like whatever, half an hour when we finish this.
Great. Next question. For US citizen living studying abroad, do you consider them in the international student category?
Good question.
Yeah.
So there, we look at students in 2 different vectors. We look at them academically and then financially, or at least that's the way you should think of it. So academically, if you studied abroad, we needed your transcripts from abroad. Maybe you, I don't know, we'll say you're in Japan and you studied at Japanese high school. That means that we reviewed your application, we looked at your Japanese grades, you needed a test of English. It doesn't matter, you're a US citizen, et cetera, et cetera. So academically, we reviewed you like you're an international student. That part should be done. You're admitted. That part is over. Financially is a different conversation. Um, Financially, if you're a US citizen, you're eligible for FAFSA. So that's something that's unique where you can get government student aid, but you um, you may you may be eligible for international scholarships. You may be eligible for in-state. The first determination is if you're out of state or in state. You're probably out of state if you've been living abroad and studying abroad. But for some reason, maybe your parents are in like the Ohio, Indiana, Kentucky area and they have been paying taxes and you've kind of been in and out. There is a potential, maybe you're in state. So that's kind of the first question. But if you're determined to be out of state, you would then be reviewed for out of state scholarships, which would include things like the international student scholarships. If you're determined to be in state, it's a different financial question entirely. So hopefully that helps.
Yeah. Um, Co-op or integrated master program can be merged during the undergraduate program.
Yes, actually, that's a really good question. I'm going to share my screen again here. It does depend on the specific program that you're studying. Um, let's save that there. Okay. Ascend University, Cincinnati. Here we are. So depending on your actual major, there are a lot of programs. Like I know DAP has some. I think the College of Business might have some. Engineering has some. They have accelerated degrees for you to get both your bachelor's and your master's and do several co-ops. So they are by invitation only. You have to apply and then have very good grades, and then you're eligible to complete both degrees in that shorter time frame. And the cost is, I believe the cost is the same. Yeah, the cost is the same because it's just by academic semester. So yeah, I would recommend just going on the website, seeing what options exist for your major, and yeah, that's a really good option.
Mm-hmm.
Where are you?
Well,
Oh,
next
sorry,
question.
I'm looking for you.
How
Okay.
many co-op rotations can students complete at UC? I think you answered it.
Yeah, good question. It depends on your status. So for most students, they'll be on an F1 visa. For them, there's a limit of 3 in country. Most students will also do co-op rotations in a different country, out of country, or in Canada, which is a different country.
Yeah.
But or some if there are co-op rotations on campus, which is kind of a weird thing, but there are some professors that want to pay a full co-op rotation salary to somebody to do research. So it's like a full-time research position where you're not taking classes, you are just essentially kind of like a PhD student. That would not go against that eligibility requirement. So it's a little bit complicated. To make it more complicated, there's something called CPT and OPT. CPT is that limiting factor, but you can go into OPT. You can use that OPT in order to do more co-op rotations in the US, but then you don't have the OPT available after you graduate. If you don't use OPT, that means you can use that OPT after you graduate, which is 1 year if you're in a non-science, technology, engineering, math, STEM-based major, or you can stay and keep working 3 years if you're in a STEM-based major. And I can keep talking about that if you want, but we have 20 more messages that have
Yeah.
arrived since I started this question.
Well,
So,
are there any requirements for co-op programs?
no. You have to be, for it to be, I want to distinguish between co-op and internships. Co-op is part of the curriculum where it's something where you take classes and then you have a co-op class, something like this. There are some majors where the co-op is a part of the curriculum, and so that means that you would have to register for that class, and you can only register for that class if you're in a major that has co-ops available. However, you can also do the internships whenever you want, and that's fine. So specifically for the co-op, like that label, and then having that specific support structure, you have to be in a program that is either co-op obligatory, co-op mandatory, or co-op optional. Besides that, you have to complete the introduction to co-op class. Those are the only 2 requirements.
Great. My brother is currently a junior at UC, lives off campus. Is there any possibility to live with him through a housing exemption? If yes, where do I apply for it?
That's a really good question. There are housing exemptions where you're able to not have to live on campus during your first year. Our office the housing office, that's not me. They tend they tend to not approve those very often, but sometimes they do. I've seen in some cases some students get those approved. It is through the housing portal. So once you confirm admissions, you can go to the housing portal, and there it will have a housing exemption. You can also just look University of Cincinnati housing exemption form, and that's something that, yeah, you can apply for that and use that.
What services contains in the living expenses?
Good question. I think I addressed this somewhat, but I'll ask
Yeah.
again. It is the expectation of how much money you spend in the city of Cincinnati. So that's coming from the government. That's not necessarily what you have to pay to the University of Cincinnati. And that expectation includes things like housing, food, basic living stuff like clothing and entertainment, and medicine and transportation, travel, things like that.
Thank you. Would you please share for students from Hungary, Europe, who is territory manager?
Yes, for Europe, it would be Zion Simpson,
Yeah,
Zion Simpson. He's online. You should just look for his name. I did have a couple direct messages I want to answer as well. Do international students have any way to get an 80% tuition scholarship? So there are some of those that exist, and it's similar to what I said before. It's very much like a pool of students. These are all the students that are admitted. This many students get scholarships. Of the students get scholarships, this many are invited to honors. Of the students invited to honors, this many get additional scholarships. Of these students, this many get reviewed for a full scholarship, and then this many get the full scholarship. So there's no action you have to take. You'll be automatically reviewed, and if you make it to each round, you might be contacted for an additional interview or portfolio or something like this.
Great. When will the result for the honor program come out?
That will be under review until late January, so it'll probably be around late January, early February.
Thank you. Are there any instances where students have not been placed in co-op? If that happens, what do students do during the co-op terms?
Yeah, that's a really good question. So, yes, of course, there are times when students don't get co-ops where they just don't even try, or they don't interview well, and they don't get a job, or something like this. In that case, they still have that requirement to graduate. So they'll typically just take another academic semester and keep looking for a job.
Great.
And then just double down and use their free time to improve their resume and try to apply for more jobs, something like this.
Yeah. What
Networking is a really big one. Anyways, yeah.
Sorry. What and when can we expect to have some information on scholarships, financial aid for US citizens?
That should be pretty soon, so that there should be initial information going out maybe in the next week or 2 weeks. And then January, February timeframe, you might hear something additional. I have a few more direct messages. I have
Okay.
4 in a row, so I'm going to address those now. I was awarded 15,000 scholarship. How can I increase my scholarship? I think I addressed that already. Just
Yeah.
yeah. Wait. Can you elaborate more on the first-year engineering program where students don't get admitted to their first choice academic program at Cincinnati and what's the possibility they get into their desired program in the following year? In numbers, be specific. Very good question. Yeah, I didn't address that at all yet. So that's if you weren't admitted, the difficult part is being admitted to the College of Engineering. So congratulations, you're in the College of Engineering. That is more important. If you go on our website, I'm going to share my screen again. Share screen. You can find the exact requirements. University, Cincinnati, engineering, transition, FEP, I think. Yeah, the exact requirements. So here we are. So here are major by major, the exact requirements. It's pretty simple. Requirements are just to complete a specific math class, a specific science class, and then to have a GPA about 3.0 or above, or 2.8 for the math and science. So it's on our website right here.
Thank you.
Next direct question I have.
Oh,
sorry, I've
do you
got
have
like
okay? Yeah.
when do we choose our minors and when is orientation? Orientation will typically be in May or June, sometime like this. And then minors is something that you can determine once you get to the university as well. You can speak about it during orientation with your academic advisor, but you don't officially declare those until you're in your first semester going into your second one.
Sure. My name is Xian Ha. I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong. I'm admitted to data science major and I also wanted to double degree in business. May I ask if my tuition and fees would differ from when I do single degree? Thank you. That's a really good question.
Really good question. Again, if you do a double degree, so if you study data science and business, a double major, something like this, your tuition fees do not differ. It's cost the same as a single degree. However, there are some caveats, things that you must be aware of. So the way that university education works is on a credit-based, University of Cincinnati education works is on a credit-based system. So that means that if you're taking a class, let's say data science 1, like basic class, that class will probably have 3 credit hours or 4 credit hours, and that is how many hours in 1 week you are expected to be in the classroom taking that class. So 3 hours a week, 4 hours a week, etc. Outside of the classroom, typically the amount of homework is expected to be twice that amount, so 6 hours or 8 hours worth of homework. So that 3 credit class is about 9 hours worth of work per week. Typically, about 15 hours per week is what is expected to complete 1 degree. If you're doing 2 degrees, that can be a lot of work and a lot of time. If there's some overlap, like for example, if you're studying physics and mathematics, that makes a lot of sense. It won't take too much additional time. Um, but if you're doing more than that, it might be a bit more.
Mhm.
You pay the exact same between 12 credit hours and 18 credit hours. There's no difference. If you take more than 18 credit hours, then you will pay for that additional amount as well. So there's some students that will do like 20 or 21, which is insane. And you would just pay for that little additional amount.
Great. Well, what's the estimate cost during the co-op year? Do we continue to pay the same as the estimated cost for the first year?
So, good question. You pay tuition when you are studying academically. So, if you're studying and you have a single year, and for the first 4 months you're in class and pay tuition, you would receive scholarship and then pay for that. When you're on co-op, you do not pay the tuition. And then when you're in class again, you pay the tuition. So that's like a normal year, 2 academic semesters. Maybe you have a year though where it's like you're on co-op and then you do another co-op and then you just go to school for the last 4 months. In that case, you're only doing 1 academic semester, so you only pay for that 1 academic semester with scholarships. So the amount you're paying is less that year, but it's just because you're not in class as often.
Mm-hmm.
I have another one that's deadlines to confirm international outreach scholarship acceptance form. That is May 1.
Mm-hmm. Well, the next one. For GCE, a level of our results come out mid-August, and I'll need an unconditional offer to apply and have conditionalness. How do I go with this?
Um, if you have a conditional admissions offer, that is more related to the test of English ability. So that's something that if you're taking A levels, you probably should not have a conditional admissions offer. Send an email to us and we'll fix that or review that for you, update that and give you unconditional offer.
Sure. The next question. Could you please talk about the visa application process?
Yeah, definitely. Also, I know that we're almost 2 hours into this and people are
Yes.
slowly leaving. I'm going to answer every question. That's what I promised. So I'll keep going. But for everyone else, if you need to leave or anything, thank you so much for joining. Really appreciate you being here, but I'm just going to keep answering questions until the end.
Yeah,
So
because we have 28 new.
I know 28 unread wants it. We're not even to like the question section of the questions yet. Okay. Um, okay.
Oh,
Sorry.
yeah.
Talk about the visa application process. So that is you apply. Oh, sorry, you apply to the university. You're admitted to the university, and then you uh, get your admission letter, and then you confirm, and then you go to iBearcats Global, and you submit the documents to get an I-20. You get an I-20 from us, so we say your finances look good, everything looks good, you don't have any issues. You take your I-20, you apply, you go onto the US government website for the consulate or the embassy, you apply for the visa. They will take some time to process it, and then they'll offer you an interview date. And you then show up to the interview, you bring your I-20, you bring your admissions letter, any other documents that you have. You go through your interview. Usually it's really fast, like 30 seconds to a minute. And we have lots of preparation for that as well. You finish that process, and then you wait, basically. Hopefully, they get you your visa in time. You buy your flight, you get your visa, you fly into the country, and then pass the border with your visa and come and show up on campus. Did I miss anything, Mubarak? You actually went through the process.
So what?
Did I miss anything? You
No,
actually did that. No,
nothing.
cool. Okay.
Well,
Next question.
yeah.
Let's keep
Does
going.
clicking become a bureaucrat in the US? The portal is the official enrollment to UC, or can I accept acceptance but not enroll at the end?
Um, Yes, yes, you can confirm, but then not enroll in the end. That's fine.
Hmm. I cannot access my Bearcat portal, so I did receive the email. Who should I contact?
Um, email us at international admissions, just University of Cincinnati international admissions. I have two more messages that I think we jumped over. I'm going to answer. If I remember correctly, our apartment signed on a 12-month contract. Do I have to pay an extra fee if I want to stay there during summer? Are we allowed to live on campus for the second year? Yes, you're allowed to live on campus in the second year. You just need to apply for on-campus housing. And then apartments, there are different types of leases. Generally, they're a 12-month contract, but you can also sublease for just like 4 months or 8 months or something like this. Um, yeah, hopefully that answers your question. And then another one, I got into the College of Engineering, but I want to change my major. Um, so if you're already in the College of Engineering, but you want to switch to computer engineering, you can, your classes will be the same the first year anyways. So just talk to your academic advisor, and then you'll end up switching maybe in like, I don't know, after your first semester. Okay, I'm ready.
So,
Where are we? 10:02.
so
We're
some
at
of
10
the
a.m.
questions
Oh my
I've
gosh.
just repeated, I think, about the deadlines.
Okay.
So can
Okay.
we skip them?
I trust you to skip whatever we've already said,
Because
and
you
I'll ask
already
again if we
mentioned it
didn't.
and like the
Yeah, yeah,
deadlines. So can
yeah.
I apply to honor college after being admitted?
Yes, actually, that's a really good point. So if you're not initially selected for honors, you can apply to join the honors program starting in your second year, and they have a very high acceptance rate. So that's something where, if you're interested in doing that, go for it.
Mhm. Anyone from Bahrain? How can I contact with more incoming students from Middle East?
Very good question. So we do have different student organizations. Send us an email, like to us at International Admissions. I have pretty good contacts throughout different student organizations. Mubarak, I'm sure you have some as well,
Yeah,
and we'll connect you as best we can.
sure. Um, well, I've got the Bearcat Portal access, but not the Catalyst one you showed. Does it arrive a bit later?
Bearcat Portal, yes, not Catalyst. Catalyst is for after confirmation. You might not have gotten an email yet. That's something that's more, they'll show you in orientation. I just kind of showed you in advance. That's it. But it's if you just look University of Cincinnati Catalyst, you can find it there.
Mhm. I'm a U.S. citizen living in Lebanon. Am I considered as an international student? If not, when do I get scholarship notification?
I think I answered this one
Yeah.
earlier,
Mhm.
maybe like half an hour ago. I'm sorry.
Yeah, yeah, sure. Yeah, because some of questions
It's
like two or three
complicated.
times, like, okay.
Yeah.
I followed up the Asia regional recruiter regarding additional scholarship opportunities. However, he clarified that there are currently no further awards available beyond what has already been granted. Is this true?
Uh, no comment. I would say just keep working with your territory manager.
Yes. Hello. If you can defer the admission, can you also defer the scholarship? Oh, it depends.
Defer the scholarship. What does that even mean? Your
I mean,
scholarship is
the
tied to
scholarship is
your
gonna be the
admission.
same or not if like she's interested.
Oh, yes. So you can defer it up to 1 year. Once you hit 1 year, they both are gone. But
Mhm.
yes, your scholarship would stay tied to your admissions.
Right? Are the scholarships renewable? Is there any requirements just to give the scholarship?
Yeah, the scholarships are for 8 academic semesters. In order to maintain your scholarship, you have to keep a minimum 3.0 GPA, and you also have to complete volunteer hours. So I think it's 15 hours for each academic semester,
Yep.
so 30 hours for 1 year.
Yeah.
It's not that
10
bad. That's a
hours
couple
on campus,
weekends.
20 hours off
You
campus.
can do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, the next one. I got into College of Engineering, but oh, I think you asked for this. Can you please share more about your experience for the upcoming interview for international students, and do you have any advice?
Oh, goodness. I'm not an expert on that. I don't feel comfortable sharing advice for that. We do have some resources on our website that are preparation for those interview processes that are people that are much more experienced, have been through a lot more of them than me, myself. So I would just recommend finding on our website that
Yeah.
information.
Mhm.
And also speaking with your territory manager, if you're in South Asia, Sanjay specifically. But I'm not comfortable
Mhm. Are
sharing
there
advice
any
on that yet.
are there any interviews for confirmation? Is it mentioned in the acceptance email?
Interviews for confirmation?
Yeah, like there are some universities they want to get interview from students for confirmation.
No, no interviews.
Yeah, okay. Thank you. It has been really informative. Thank you for joining. So, can you throw light on the placement percent of undergrad students completing their major in the computer science? Oh,
Oh gosh. Placement percent of undergrads completing their major in computer science. Um, so that's like graduation rate for students that enter computer science. How many graduate? I don't have that number memorized.
yeah.
I would guess 80
I think
something.
it's
There's a
better
lot of students
Googling
that
it for
change
exact
majors.
information.
Yeah, I don't know exactly what that might be.
hmm
I'm sorry.
Is there any programs for project development?
Programs for project development. I'm sure there's student clubs available. Project development, that's such a vague, it's really vague. That could be like engineering, that could be urban planning, that could be design of some sort, that could be a startup company, entrepreneurship. Yes,
hmm
all of those have some sort of support. They all have different majors. There's definitely something.
Great.
Apologies.
Well, thank you for enthusiasm of both of you and for information you provided. Have a nice day. Thank you. Is there any,
Oh, nice.
yeah, that's really good. Is there any minimum GPA requirements to maintain scholarships?
Yes, 3.0.
hmm I heard there will be an interview um, round for additional scholarship in April. Could you provide more details about this interview and whether it will be online or in person? Oh, interesting.
Um, an, an interview for additional scholarships? Is that what the
Yes.
question was?
Yeah.
If if you are contacted for that, it would be online. I have a few direct messages I'm also going to jump
Okay.
into. Is every international applicant given a $15,000 scholarship? No. We have tiers of 0, 5, 10, and 15. Question, could I have the name and contact of the territorial manager of the Middle East? Oh, you already did that one. Sorry. Um, um, did that one, did that one. I cannot register on the Bearcat portal. It's asking for a US phone number. It shouldn't be. That's really strange. Send us an email with a screenshot of that error and
Mhm.
we'll fix it because we have thousands of international students. That's weird.
Mhm. I applied biology, but I want to change nursing. How can I change? Nursing. Oh.
Nursing's really competitive. The program's already closed. For this year, you'd have to apply again for next year,
Mhm.
unfortunately.
Any Afghanistan organization there in the USA?
Afghanistan, I know a couple of Afghan students on campus. I'm not sure if they formed a student organization or if they're just like studying here.
Yeah, because we have
They,
a requirement for student organization. There should be like minimum 20 students for the organization.
yeah,
Mm.
unfortunately, I'm not sure if there is one for them.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Hey, Bora, could you please check your direct message? Where can I check it?
Um, I have
Q&A?
no idea. It's somewhere in there.
Q&A.
No,
I'm
Q&A.
gonna
Are
try.
there questions in Q&A too?
Can I go ahead accept my admission even when the scholarship and my funding isn't enough to take care of my first year's cost?
Yeah, yeah, you can accept and confirm and then wait and see how finances go. And then if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But yeah, you can confirm in advance.
Mhm. Thank you for this session. It's really informative. Much appreciated. Next one. If I go to the US using my A-level predicted scores as I haven't finished high school yet, and by any chance I don't receive those grades, will be my offer taken away?
Once you're admitted, you're admitted.
Yeah,
So long as you
agree with that.
graduate, you'll be fine. Don't
Uh-huh.
like not finish high school. If you stop out of high school and don't take your test and don't finish your degree, that will be a problem. But just
Uh-huh.
finish, graduate, and that's enough. I have a direct message. Does the curriculum have a compulsory foreign language requirement? Many of the degrees do, but not all of them. You should go on the website and see if there's a foreign language requirement. But if you already speak a foreign language, you can get that exemption. Can get that requirement waived. You can get an exemption for it.
Well, I'm still figuring out where can I find my direct message because I gotta find.
Yeah, I got a direct message from Mateo. Uh, who also wanted to stay in contact with me. I don't know if Mateo's still on this call or not, but there's a lot of people here. Yeah, it's not in alphabetical order. It's fine. Um, yes, I'm going to respond to this one directly. Sorry. Okay. Biology, any Afghanistan will work. Direct message. Can go ahead and accept my admission. You won the scholarship. Thank you very much for this session. If I got A level predicted, may offer be taken away. I'm still a bit confused in regards to the co-op program. While we're on co-op, can we still live on campus and do we still attend classes? How does that work? Okay, I'm going to share my screen to clarify this.
I read the question for direct message, so we're gonna answer it later. Thank you, Lisa. I found it. Okay.
Okay. I'm going to answer this one quickly.
Yeah.
If you don't mind. Where is it? Okay. So for students who are doing co-op, I'm going to assume you're engineering because I know you're engineering. Let's look at the bottom right panel here where it says sample engineering student schedule. There are some, there are some blocks that say school and then some that say co-op, like co-op 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. For the ones that are school, you are in Cincinnati, you are at the University of Cincinnati, you are going to class every day. That is what you're doing. You're a student. Maybe you have a part-time job like Mubarak here, maybe not, but you're basically a student full-time. Okay, so you go through school, you have a break, you go through school, and this co-op semester arrives. You previously had an interview with a company and you got a job offer. Congratulations. The job is in Chicago. You are not going to be taking classes at UC while you're in Chicago. You're not taking online classes. You are in Chicago. You're working for this company full-time for 4 months. The company is paying you. You are not paying the University of Cincinnati tuition. You are just working. And then you move back to Cincinnati and you take classes for your next semester. Then you leave and you go on co-op in Chicago again. And you really like it, but you say, I want to try something different. So you start applying to different jobs and you find a job in Cincinnati. Cool. So you go to school the next semester, you take classes, then you leave school and you work full-time for a company in Cincinnati. Awesome. You are not taking classes while you're on co-op. You can, but maybe like online or 1 or 2 classes, but you're a full-time worker, not a student.
That we
And
have
then,
a question.
yes.
You mentioned that we could talk to the people helping us. For me, that's Zion Simpson about financial aid. But in my financial aid offer letter, it was explicitly stated that I couldn't ask for negotiate more scholarship funding. Is it because I'm 16 or the school's funds are limited?
It's probably it's more of a blanket statement, a message that we send to all students in general. My advice is just speak with your territory manager. They will do their best to advocate for you getting more money. The closer relationship you have with them, the better, because they'll know your particular case, your circumstances, and if there is something available, they'll think of you when that time comes.
Okay. So as I understand, if semester tuition fees are 30K and if in that semester I am selected for co-op in a company, this 30K is waived off.
You do not pay tuition when you're in co-op. Yeah, it's not that it's waived, it's that it's not even charged to begin with. You're not taking classes, so you're not paying anything.
Great. If the scholarship is for 8 semesters, does it cover all 5 years of an engineering major?
Really good question. Yes. So
Yeah.
going back, I just showed it on the screen, but
Yeah.
if you can kind of remember that picture. Yes. So the engineering program, it's still 8 academic semesters, but it has the 5 co-op semesters as well. So if you think of it as like each semester's 4 months, you have 5 co-ops, you have 8 academics, that's 13 semesters times 4 months, puts you at 52 months. You have a break in there, so you're at 56 months. That's a 5-year program. So yes, the scholarship covers all 5 years, but you don't get scholarship when you're not taking classes. So when you're on co-ops, no scholarship. That's it. Can you explain to Mubarak how you check your direct messages?
No, I did, and already
You found
we
it?
yeah answered it. Yeah.
Okay, okay, good.
Well, what are the key courses in the first year for computer engineering?
I think that's physics, calculus, engineering design, engineering foundations. A lot of times there's a coding class. Maybe there's a biology class, depending on if you're doing a major that has life sciences. Um, Usually introduction to co-op, um, a class-related major. So I studied aerospace. I had an introduction to aerospace engineering class, something like this.
Mhm. What kind of support does the university provide for students doing co-op in other cities?
That's a good question. So getting the job, first of all. Secondly, after that, mm, not if it's international, they'll provide you. Okay, so if it's international, they'll provide you with language support and then housing support and kind of just the logistical side. If it's inside the United States, not as much. That really depends on you and the company that you're working for. I'll use myself as an example. I did some co-ops in a city called Cleveland. Maybe you've heard of it. It's about 4 hours away from Cincinnati, so it's not that far, but it's kind of close also. Um, the company that I worked for there paid for my housing, so I was able to essentially move there, and they already hadn't paid for apartment. And I just moved into that apartment and started working for the company, and they were, yeah, I didn't really have to do anything. I just had to drive there and show up. For the one in Cincinnati, I worked for a different one in Cincinnati a little bit later. They did not have that housing option available. They just said show up to work. So it really depends on the company how much support they provide you or not. There might be some that they're like, all right, just show up to work in Los Angeles. Good luck. But they probably not as good of a company if they don't offer you any support. So that might be a question to ask when you are in an interview with the company.
Yeah. Well, if you get a co-op in Cincinnati, can you still live on campus that semester?
You could, yeah.
hmm Is it compulsory to provide the reports of vaccination records which were given till age of 10? Oh, I understand this. It's really hard to
Uh,
find it sometimes.
yeah, I know those are really challenging. I'm not sure if those are exactly the immunization records required, but probably. If not, you'll have to get something. Yeah. Or just go on the website and try and find
If
it. Sorry.
yeah, if not, if you cannot find after coming here, you're gonna get vaccinated for like 2 or 3 like shots. I don't know. Yeah,
Yeah.
it's not gonna be a problem, don't worry. Well, if a student prefers not to study physics, if there is an option to take other course instead,
But if you don't want to study, if your major has
then
physics
yeah, they
as a
accepted for
requirement
a
in order
physics
to
major.
graduate,
Yeah.
then you have to study physics. Yes. Uh, if you don't want to study physics, just change your major to something else and you won't need to do physics.
Yes. Well, if you don't return to your home country during breaks, can you still live on campus?
Yeah, you can. There's a couple students I know that stayed and lived on campus. Yeah.
hmm
There are some programs that pay for your housing on campus. So if you're an RA, that's a resident, like a room advisor, or if you're a SOL, that's a summer orientation leader, they get their housing paid for. So you can
hmm
stay on campus and don't have to pay for it. But those are pretty competitive jobs.
Yes, I know. Do we have to complete our health screening before the visa interview?
Ooh, that's a good question. I'm not sure of the exact requirements that the embassy asks for. That's
hmm
something that
It's
I'm not
different
positive.
from country to country, I think, because
It
in my
might,
case,
yeah,
in visa interview, they didn't ask about the health screening. So,
yeah.
yeah.
I I know you're supposed to have it by the time you get to Cincinnati, but I also know there's some students that show up and they don't have it. So
Yeah.
I don't know what the embassy asks for. Sorry.
Yeah. Can you give us deeper insight in double major? And we double major while learning for both semester and bachelor, or both master and bachelor. Oh,
You
what?
are ambitious. You are very ambitious.
Wow.
Yeah, like double master, a double major and a master's program. I guess you can do it. Yeah. Um, Deeper insight. Very, very difficult and challenging. The it's probably advised to do two majors that are similar to each other or that can build off each other. Like, for example, physics and mathematics makes perfect sense. That's a very easy double major. Or maybe like international business and operations management, something like that makes sense. If you're doing piano and biomedical engineering, it's going to take forever. You'll probably have to stay longer to finish both degrees. It'll probably cost a little bit more money. Um, Besides that, what insights can I provide? Study a lot, make friends, have a good social support network.
And good luck.
It's going to be very difficult, yeah, but good luck.
Yeah.
And can you double major while you're doing both master's and bachelor? Maybe you mean just like the Ascend program that I showed. I don't know, but that's very ambitious. Good luck.
hmm Well, what year you can apply for array and what are the benefits for that position?
Yeah, so you can apply for RA after your first year at university. So starting your second year, there are students that are RAs on campus. Benefits for that specific position are you get paid a salary and you also get to live on campus for free. Um, some drawbacks, some negatives of that position are you have to be like the police in the building. So I don't know if that fits your personality or if that's something you want to do. That's one. And then two, you also a lot of times can't go out during the evenings or the weekends because you're required to work in your building monitoring during the weekends or the nights or something like this. So um, there are a lot of grad students, but there also are undergrads that are RAs. It's a bit of a mix.
hmm Do you have
Do you
other
make it to the...
prerequisites?
No, I don't. I think
Well,
we...
then that's good.
Oh my gosh. Oh, resident assistant. Yeah, yeah, resident assistant. Oh, there's one Q&A. If we have an idea that we want to pursue as an entrepreneur, can I take the help of my professors and can the university provide resources? Yes, of course. So we have a very extensive entrepreneurship community. We even have an entire building that's called the 1819 Innovation Center, and it's like a four-story building that's only for entrepreneurship. So there's a lot of resources in that. I didn't really discuss that a lot, but if you look online, you search 1819 Innovation Hub, you'll find lots of information about that.
hmm Okay. 5 semester
Got two more
means a
questions.
student who will join in fall 2026 will get a degree in 2021, right? No, 5 semesters. Like, um,
I'm not sure what you mean by 5 semesters, but
yeah.
5 years? Maybe you meant 5 years.
Yeah.
Yes, that would be um,
Yeah,
26,
5 years.
27,
Yeah, 5 years.
27, 28, 28, 29, 29, 30, 30, 31. Yeah. So
hmm
a lot of the co-op programs will be 5 years. Some of the ones that don't have it will be 4 years. Or our double major master's student said, "Can I graduate early?" If you're doing just a single major, yeah. There are a lot of students that will graduate early, and they'll just take 3 years or 3.5 years if you go very intense, very fast. So yeah, and you can save money doing that too.
If one get into BS, Bachelor's
Yes,
Master's
yes,
Ascent
send.
program,
Yeah.
uh, wait, what's going?
Is it
Oh,
still five
faculty
co-ops?
testing.
Usually it's less. I think it's 2 or 3 for that.
I've got an acceptance to UC main campus for computer science. Can I change to another campus while just keeping my scholarship?
That's a good question. Unfortunately, no. If you do switch to another campus, the scholarships are reduced at Blue Ash or Claremont. That would probably be that 15,000 would switch to like 4,000. So you can save a little bit of money, but it's not the same savings. Sorry.
Mhm. Yay!
We're at the end.
We're done. Finally.
Thank you, everyone. Thank you, everyone, so much that's still on this call. There's still 38 people on this call. I don't know. You guys have some endurance. Made it
Hello.
through 2 hours of a presentation. Yes, one more question.
Yeah, yeah, sure.
But thank you. I'm going to make this the last question. Um, yeah,
Oh,
please. Oh, Reed, did you have your hand raised? It's fine. Please go for it. Yeah, yeah.
Hello, Said. This is Fanil, and
Yes, Fennel,
yeah,
sorry.
I just got admitted into Cincinnati, but unfortunately, I was admitted into the Blue Ash career counseling. The program, and I had applied for physics, astrophysics, Bachelor of Science. And now I will get my 11th grade result for my AS level at 9th of January. So when I will get that, and I applied that results to Cincinnati, are there good chances that I will still get my original course back, because I really love that one?
Very good question. First, congratulations on admissions. Second, I don't know. I'd have to look at your application. I'd have to look at your grades. It depends. We will certainly re-review you though. So yeah, there exists the possibility that you could get into the main program. I don't know why you weren't admitted to the first program, but yeah, we'll take a look at it.
Thank you
Go
so
ahead and
much.
send in a message, and we'll do our best.
Thank you
All
for
right.
both your patience. It
Thank
was
you,
very
everyone.
helpful. Thank
Appreciate
you.
this. I'll upload this to YouTube here in maybe like an hour. Good luck, everyone. Have a good rest of your day, your evening, and welcome. Congratulations on admissions. Bye. Remember to drink water. Oh my God, I need water so badly. Bye.
Bye.